podcast time. Go.
Welcome to the Because the World Needs Another podcast. Yes, because as you all know, the world totally needs another podcast.
Indubitably.
And today we are going to share with you the story of that one time when we decided to sell everything we own, buy a travel trailer, renovate said travel trailer, and travel across the world selling essential oils.
Yep. That.
A classic American tale.
Everybody does that, right?
Yeah. And then we got high-centered. We had a little shocker. Laura had a really big physical meltdown issue, and we got high-centered in Las Vegas, Nevada for roughly 4 years. And it was actually one of the best things that ever happened to us.
Yes. We're going to talk about that today and the lessons we learned and how they were life-changing principles and how we can all take those things into our lives.
Absolutely. So let's begin.
And go.
Tell him, Dugovic.
All the things.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell this story one way. I want to know how you tell the story. But I tell the story like this in the 30-second elevator pitch. Is I say, we were in this company and we were doing really well. We were traveling a lot and we were selling essential oils and some
actually really awesome supplements, and I miss them. The company we worked for doesn't exist anymore.
Yes, it's sad.
It is sad.
They sold moringa supplements and powder, and which moringa is actually taking off right now, by the way.
Finally.
It's crazy. It's a amazing supplement. Mm-hmm. So we went on a cruise. We won this cruise with this company, and we were on the cruise. And after the cruise, we got home, and I don't know if we were on the cruise or after, but I jokingly said to Laura, I said, hey, you know what we should do? We should sell everything we own and buy a camper and a truck and just tour around the U.S. for a couple years and teach our classes. And I was jokingly...
And you should never...
Yes.
You should never...
Jokingly said it.
Don't you tempt me with a good time.
And she said...
Threaten me.
Yes. And I was like, whoa, wait. But I wasn't... Right when I said it, I was like, because it was over.
Yes. Yeah, so we had distributors in like 40 states, 38,
like
40 states, 35
states, yeah.
I don't want to exaggerate. Tend to do that. I know that about myself. So like 35 states, maybe it was 26. Don't know. But we had like more than half of the United States. We had distributors in those states. And I thought with him, I'm like, yeah, we should take our travel trailer and go in, and then we're not like imposing on anybody. We can stay in our own little
and homeschool
place.
Our kids for 2 years, and we mapped it all out.
It'll be majestic.
Yeah,
and so first and foremost, you should never threaten me with a good time, because I'm just chomping at the bit to go do crazy stuff like that. He, on the other hand,
no,
not so much. If he never left his home again, he would be totally fine with that. So we're a bit of a mismatch there, which is great.
Let alone that I had never been camping in a trailer or pulled a trailer or hooked up a trailer or anything with the trailer. But probably, I think it was like 30 something days later.
Yeah, we move quick.
Yeah, we don't mess around.
Yeah,
and so we found a camper first. We bought the camper. They delivered it to our house, and they were like, I guess we got to find a big diesel truck to pull this thing.
Mm-hmm. We drove down to Tucson. Bought a pretty messy truck.
A 2007 Dodge Mega Cab.
2500.
5.7 liter, which is a rare engine, by the way. We found out. I know all about the diesels now.
He Googled all the things.
I did. We almost bought a Ford
and
a Chevy, but ended up with the Dodge Mega Cab, which is extra room in the cab. It was, I actually loved that truck. It was an awesome truck. But 30 something days later, we had sold everything or given it away, and we left Arizona, and our first stop was in Vegas. There was a big convention going on there. And then we went to Utah, and which we renovated the camper there.
Right. The plan was to renovate it for a little bit, because I'm very affected by my surroundings. And I was like, no, it has to be like the way we want
aesthetics, as you could tell by the books. Here.
Yeah.
And so, and campers are something Laura always says is, oh, men design campers. I know it. because they're
Yeah.
dark. They have a
Yeah.
lot of
And it's like
weird
for campy
designs.
people, like people who want to be in the woods. And so it's
They're
like
woodsy.
Arizona, either woodsy people. A
Yes.
woodsy woman finds
Yeah.
her woodsy man. And yeah. But no, and like in Arizona, all the houses are brown and the desert is brown. And it's like, hey guys, I don't know. Maybe we want a fresh white house or like a colorful house. Maybe we don't have to necessarily, do,
Yeah.
we don't have
But
to match the landscape per se. And so, yeah, with camping, and I know that probably part of the functionality of it is so it doesn't show dirt.
yeah,
So everything kind of
if
like has a
everything's
dirt,
white,
everything looks like dirt already, then it doesn't show dirt.
I will tell you, like renovating and painting a camper,
Oh,
it's so easy to paint a wall, but when you're painting nooks and crannies and so many angles, and it was
and we're do-it-yourselfers to a fault. Like we torture ourselves with those shenanigans. Like there's
never
no need.
again.
No, yeah, there's no need. Like I feel like as I've done a lot of therapy, I've realized how much self-loathing I have for the thing. It's like I'll just punish myself by giving myself really miserable tasks to do. Because honestly, if you were ever to do something like that, I would pay someone to come tape it off and you spray it in one day. You have an expert
Get it
come in,
done. Yeah.
spray it. We hand painted the entire interior. It took longer than our house. We've remodeled homes before that took less work than that trailer. That trailer, it took
It
us
was crazy.
5.5 months. We're living in my grandma's basement with my parents. Like my mom was a caregiver, like a living caregiver with my grandma, and she had a really large house. So then we were staying in the guest bedroom of my mom's apartment of my grandma's house
Yeah.
for
No
a really
fun.
long time.
So then we got it all done.
Yeah.
There's a whole story with that we can maybe talk about sometime. But we then went back to Vegas. We had some classes in Vegas, and then we went to California. And our plan was to go to California and go up the coast and come around through Idaho, come back down and follow the weather, basically.
Right,
And
because trailers aren't insulated, so you
yeah,
can't really have the really severe, the extremes. Like 120 degrees is really difficult, and the really below zeros and the cold is difficult.
they're really not made to be lived in. That's
Right, that too.
they're pretty cheaply made.
Yeah.
So, but then we came back to Utah, and then we did some classes, and we were just leaving Utah and southern Utah, and Laura bent down to pick up a book. She was homeschooling the kids, and her back went out.
Yep.
And so, but before, this is the thing, like it was some years before, she bent over to pick up one of our kids, and her back went out, and
I was down
she
for 8
couldn't-
months.
yeah, she couldn't get out of bed for 2 months, and I was helping her get up to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
and
I couldn't even walk to go to the bathroom. He would have to help me, and I would just have to sidestep because my legs couldn't step forward. Like I couldn't take straight forward strides. And so he would hold my arms, like we would brace each other, like lock arms kind of in a square position.
like this, and then
I would sidestep to the bathroom usually. And so he would help me go to the bathroom, and then I would get up, and then be sidestepping out, and I would even lose consciousness because the pain shooting up my spine would be so bad that then I would black out, and he would just he would just hold me and brace me and slump me down to the floor until I woke back up, and then he would help me get back up and walk the rest of the way back to bed. It was major,
but
it was a major, I could not function well.
that was like a year before you were actually able to fully
Right, and even then
walk again.
I was in radiating pain.
Yeah.
I taught childbirth classes for years, and I was a doula, and I got back to teaching childbirth classes, and I remember sitting and I'm teaching and going over all these details and coaching and answering questions and just screaming pain up my whole spine for months and months and months after I was functional enough to teach and to do things. It was still
so this
a
happened,
long time.
And so we were like, well,
yeah. So when I slipped my back again, homeschooling the kids in the camper, we went, oh no,
there's no way we can do
we
this.
can't hit the road. Like I can't be in a diesel truck all day and then get out and do all the physical labor that it takes to set up camp, to tear down camp, to travel like that. It's so painful.
So we put everything on hold.
Yeah.
And we went back up to her grandparents, which have a little basement room.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, well, we got to get the kids in school. So we went to this school that has a 5,000 kid waiting list in Utah. But if you work there, your kids go to the top of the list. So I went and interviewed for anything. Basically, I said I could do computers. I'll clean the toilets. Like, I don't care. And then they were like, all right, well, we'll see. And then they called back a couple days later. we were looking at different condos. We actually had almost put a deposit on a condo.
That is so funny. I forgot that.
I think we were gonna sign the papers. We had the papers.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then they called and said, actually, we have a spot that opened in Las Vegas at one of our schools for the character development director. And we were like, what is a character development director? Like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
And so they told us a little bit about it. And then they said, we said, well, let's go down. Let's check it out.
And that was a way better idea anyway for me.
Oh,
because
it was October.
Oh, the winter was closing in, and I was born and raised mostly in Utah, and we realized when we had moved to Arizona, we had realized, wow, winters are really hard on me. My body doesn't, and I'm freezing all the time anyway. So we loved Arizona. I'm shocked that we even thought like, let's travel and do it, because Arizona was my happy place. I loved our neighbors. I loved everything, but I especially loved the heat, the warmth. So here we are injured now, or I'm injured, and we're kind of high centered now. And we were planning on just staying in Utah for the foreseeable future until I could heal enough to get on the road. And like we said, we thought it'd be at least a year. And so when they had this offer in Las Vegas, we were like, that would be so much better for my mental health, for my body.
Yeah, because we planned to just stay the 9 months and then go back out on the road.
Yes. Yeah. So we just needed a temporary change.
And to get the kids in school, and they can...
In a good school.
And so we went to Vegas, checked it out, and found out what exactly a character development director was, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah.
And then 3 days later, we're moving to Vegas.
Yeah.
And
the truck broke down on the move to Vegas.
Oh, it did. The water pump went out.
So
that was great.
The other really cool thing, like my older brother, who I really love as an adult, I alluded to, we fought like cats and dogs as kids, but I really love him as an adult human. And he and his wife we found a rental house behind his house. So our kids grew up kitty corner, like the corners of our fences touched, so the kids were able to put step ladders on both sides of the fence and jump over the fence to be with cousins. And that was one of the best times ever. Saturday morning, I could text Christy and just say, oh, hey, does your kids want to come over for pancakes? And she's like, I'll send them over the fence. And she can like be cleaning the house, doing her things. She and I like walked the golf course every night. It was so awesome. And it was just serendipity. We could tell it was meant to be, right? Like I'm a big believer there really aren't accidents. Everything is happening through you and for you, if you're willing to look at it that way. But anyway, so it was exciting, and that all clicked in too. We found this great rental. It was right behind my brother and his wife. He's an attorney in Las Vegas. Shout out to Brian. If you have an injury, an auto injury, hit me up. He's Vegas. Real smart, and he will take good care of you. So,
actually, here in Arizona too, he does.
Yeah, he's in Arizona too. Smarty pants. But yeah, so we moved. So like that, 3 days later, we were moving to Vegas. We moved in on Halloween Day. Mm-hmm. You remember that? All the cousins got to go trick or treating together, and it was crazy.
Yeah. And so then I started like the next week. It was a weekend, I guess, and then I started. Mm-hmm. So basically, the character development director, I describe it like this. I was in charge of 27 to 29 teachers, depending on the year. So keep going back and back. Case. Yeah. So
doesn't have to go too far.
In this school, every fourth period, every day when you hit seventh grade, you had a character development class. Your fourth period was character development. So all of the teachers, we had the curriculum and we taught the teachers how to teach it, but we taught everything we didn't learn in school. That's how I describe it.
Yeah, that's when people ask, what's a character development director? He says, I teach your kids everything that we never learned.
So about taxes, credit, leadership, entrepreneurship.
Social graces. Yeah. Most important.
Social dance, etiquette. We had a whole thing that we taught. And Laura was actually got a job there. She was the marketing director. Mm-hmm. And
I designed all the apparel, all the sport, like for all of our different clubs and guilds and sporting teams. Like I did all the logos and designed everything. I did the apparel, but then all the marketing as well.
Yeah. And
then I volunteered as head cheer coach.
Then all of a sudden,
then I started a cheer
coach.
program from scratch, which was super fun. Yeah.
Yes, that wasn't stressful at all. Just here, a cheer program. There you go.
It was awesome. Yeah.
She had a great time doing that. But in that, she helped me with a lot of different things that we did, there was a whole program that we taught social dance. When you hit 7th grade, you start learning social dance, and 7th and 8th grade. And then at the end of the 8th grade year, we have this huge culminating event. It's basically like a test, but not really, but it's, we have a full dinner, 5-course meal. And it was a full, basically like an etiquette dinner, but we would teach on a PowerPoint. We would teach step by step.
Right. So for those of you, like especially Southerners, you're familiar with cotillion, right? So this was like a cotillion program where from A to Z they learn, and this one big experience is set up so that they can embody it, practice it in person, and from A to Z, like they learn how to escort a young lady into the room. You're assigned, and it's an assignment. So the students are assigned a partner, right? And they are taught how to seat the young lady in the chair.
Chairs, yeah.
And when a young lady excuses herself from the table, the gentlemen at the table all stand up.
Yeah, all of the gentlemen stand up.
And she's taught to say, "Please excuse me," you know. And so we would coach them from beginning to end of an entire more formal event.
Yeah, it was quite the experience. And then we'd have table coaches, which were teachers or parents. And every single year we would have them come up to us and say, "Oh my gosh, I learned so much. This was great. Like, can you do this outside of the school?" And we always had talked about doing like a big event for families and couples. That was part of what we did. And then after the dinner, we'd clear all the tables and we'd have a big dance, and it was all social dances. So we would have the cha-cha, basically all the ballroom is what they learned. And it was a great time.
It was so fun. And it was cool to see high schoolers and junior high age students having a social framework within which to socialize. Right? Because, you know, the way it just devolves into kind of chaos with the way that we do dances now, but they actually have a dance card.
Oh, that's right.
You have someone, and they had specific dances, and the kids had a blast. It was so fun. And so that was just an amazing thing. And we are really passionate too. And we'll be sharing more on the podcast in episodes to come of just soundbite little nuggets of great information for raising your teens, because there's so much that as parents, and even we didn't know.
So much we learned in that time. And with parenting, to help parents, help teens, help families. So anyway, the character development that we taught during the 4th period, but then we had all these other things that we did, and it was something that ended up, we were only going to be there 9 months. Yeah. But we ended up being there for 4 years, and we loved it. And it was a great experience, but always wanted to get back to Arizona was our plan. And so we eventually came back here.
Well, and that school kind of ceased to exist anyway, as we knew it. Like we saw kind of the writing on the wall that it was devolving into something else. And so, it was a perfect time to exit and come back here. And we were so happy here. Like, I mean, could not ask for more, but
we missed those times and those kids.
And those kids for sure.
That was definitely the hardest part of leaving
and the staff too. Everyone we worked with.
We had a great relationship with the staff and the kids, and we think back on it fondly for sure.
Yes, we do.
It was something that just the little things you think that really don't matter, or when you see it in action. Like one of the things that we taught was every class period. I remember the first year that I got there, and it was a new school, so I think they had been there maybe 1 year before when it had started. So it was the second year when I came in. And I remember a staff meeting and just like the teachers thinking, what is this crazy character development? And we would get up and talk during staff meeting and say how important it is. And every teacher, if you're a teacher or you know teachers, they think their subject is the most important subject out there. And I went to school to teach English, and English is the most important thing. It's going to help, or science, or
And
math,
also
or
though, like that part for sure, but like teachers constantly get extra stuff piled onto them, right? Constantly.
It's a
Oh,
tough
but
job.
also do your job, and then also we're adding this and you're part of that too. And then also we're incentivizing
So
this and you're part of that too. So he was met though with quite a bit of resistance at the beginning.
I think
which is fair. I totally get it.
A lot of teachers probably thought that, like, you're adding, I have to teach all my my 6 other classes. It was 8 classes, but then they have
and now this
a
too.
break. Yeah, so 6 other classes plus a character development class. Like, what? And it took probably a good couple of years to get the teachers on board and constantly having them realize the importance of it. And so one of the things we would do, we had the kids line up in the hall every period. So they would line up and the teacher would greet them with a handshake and look them in the eye and ask them how they're doing, and they would all walk in. And I can't tell you how many times that teachers would have experiences where when you're seeing a kid every day and then you see a kid and something's off, where a teacher would then like pull them to the side and greet everybody else, and then like be able to say like, hey, what's going on today? And
it was a great opportunity, yeah, to check in, and the baseline okayness of all of your kids, so you can tell when something's off. So I think it was a really important. That wasn't even the intended purpose, but it had a really great unintended consequence of teachers being tuned into their kids.
Yeah, and how many kids got to go to the counselor, and actually there was a few kids that actually said they were gonna end their lives that day, and they were able to get help, and just because a teacher had that connection. So, but the purpose was to actually greet them and show them how to, for one, to shake a hand, to interact. And so we had this whole thing on the walls of all the classrooms that would do the steps of the handshaking, 1 to 2 pumps, and look them in the eye. So, but it's interesting, what I share with people is, if kids growing up, especially nowadays, don't know how to shake hands. Like, if you think of most kids going through their lives, like, where do they shake hands? If outside of, if they go to maybe a church, like, you'll be greeted, but outside of that, like, they go to school and they do high fives, and
or not even that, they'll say, hey, what's up? What's
pounds up, or whatever,
right.
And or dab it up, I think is what they call it. And so,
but at least 5 years ago when we were amongst the teens.
But like, if you really think about it, where do they learn to shake hands? And so that's the thing, is like, and the funny thing is, I could tell new kids in the school because I would go in the hallway in between periods and say hi to the kids and, shake hands and stuff. And the new kids would come up and they would do this. They'd be like, give me like the dead fish or the polite, or like
they would do a really soft hand, a really weak handshake.
Yeah. And so I'd be like, whoa, come here. And then I have to do that again. Give it a, yeah, okay. And so I would do this over and over again, and the teachers would do it and not let them get away with just like a weak handshake, and like have a good grip, not too strong, but a good grip, and really teach them how to interact that way. Because once you leave school, if you don't learn it there and you don't learn it at home, where are you going to learn it? And one of my favorite stories, there was one of our kids that was up for this really high honor scholarship. And it was one of the highest scholarships, and there were hundreds of kids in this, and all of the kids like 4.0 or better, grade point average, just like honor roll, all these extracurricular activities. And so how do you choose? This is something that it's so difficult. And one of our kids went through, and they actually, when they walked into the interview, they went up and they shook all of the interviewees' hands and went and had the interview, and some time went by, and they actually ended up getting this scholarship. And they said that you were the only one that came in and shook all of our hands and looked us in the eye. Nobody else did that. And that was ultimately the thing that put
that student ahead.
The edge, yeah.
because it's so rare nowadays. So we thought like we were excited to share some of our character development and life-changing principles stories, which we'll get to life-changing principles too, right? But for parents, make sure you guys, this is something that's so easily fixable at in your own home. And whether whenever they come home from school, okay, shake my hand. We're going to practice a firm handshake.
You don't think about it.
I know you don't think about it. It doesn't occur to you to, have that conversation or instill that in your kids. And I would take it another story that came to my mind that I just love. I'll get emotional. Dang it, you guys. I'm not like going to cry all the time. I promise. I think I'm good. But my grandpa, he would take us in his hands, so when he talks about the teachers shaking hands and like really engaging eye contact, and because the teachers are modeling that for the students, right? But you can see in their eyes that they're hurting. You can see in their eyes that something's not okay. It's the same with your own children, and it's the same with your grandchildren. But my grandpa was so cute, huh? He would do it to Kyle too. So this grown man, Kyle, is coming to meet my family. He'd grab you by the face and just so gently, and he was just so perfect.
What do you say? Look, let me see.
Let me just see those eyes. Let me see
those eyes.
And he did that with every grandchild. We'd come into town, and he'd be like, "Well, let me just have a look at you and just look deep into your eyes." And so it was like so beautiful, but like I felt so seen, and kids don't feel seen. And it's one of the biggest things I teach like the little kids in church over the years. And I just say all the time, looking in their eyes, like just seeing them, it's so cute. I like when I learned this as a practice, as a spiritual practice, like, no, people don't feel seen. They don't feel heard. They don't feel connected with little kids. You're talking about a spiritual concept, and then they're like, raising their hands, right? Like, oh, I have something to say. My cat died. And you're like, oh, but I, as a teacher, I never go, we're not talking about dead cats right now, Amy. That's rude. This is like off topic, right? I'm like, oh no, it did. I'm so sorry. When did that happen, right? If they need to talk about it, that's a great place to process it. But what I will notice is, and now I know, and try this the next time you have a child talking to you, all of those listening to this podcast, next time you have a child talking to you, put all of your undivided attention on them and like very intently look at them with everything they're saying and put all of your energy. Because sometimes we're listening to kids half-heartedly. We're like, just, yeah, okay, mm-hmm.
Well, when they come in and tell you the level 17 Minecraft sword that they just got, and now they can take their armor and go through the wizardly place of the tornado door, and you're like,
you have no idea what they're saying. Yes. And then, so your brain wants to zone out, mm-hmm. and mine still does that sometimes, admittedly. But like, I made this a practice with these kids, and you guys, as I listen to them intently, their energy starts to build and build. And it's like, I can tell in their head, they're like, she's really listening. Mm-hmm. She's really looking at me. She's really interested. She wants to know all about my dead kitty. And oh my gosh, like they start to get a buzz with this joy, where I just made up another word, a buzz, like ABUZZ, a buzz with joy. You guys, I do like to make up words. I know that they're not words, but my brain goes, this is what they were doing. But it is so powerful. And that's what my grandpa did to me. And we do that with our kids too. And it's powerful for them to feel truly seen. And it's a great check-in for parents. But then the second part of that is, that handshake, we don't think about it, but shake your kids' hands. Have them sit down at dinner, have practice dinners. We taught this etiquette dinner in our neighborhood, and several of the parents afterwards were like, the parents who came and volunteered and helped and their kids participated and stuff. Afterwards, they're like their other spouse who wasn't there. Oh, she does that every time. Like now we've put all of these rules and norms into our family dinners. And he's like, it's so great. Or we have conversation cards at the dinners so that you learn how to ask good questions, how to get to know people, how to make sure you're including everyone around the table. If someone's especially quiet and they're not participating, you can specifically ask them a question about themselves to invite them more fully into the conversation. All of these little things that we can bring in. And so as parents, it might not occur to you, but those are some really cool things you can apply right away.
It's so funny to think, like, sometimes you think that they're little things, like, oh, these things don't matter. Shaking a hand, like, that doesn't matter. Or we don't think about how much it really could matter. But so many little principles that we learned at the school over the years, we actually ended up, there's something called Winterim it was at the school where.
Yeah, so Winterim. He says it really casually because so like winter and then I am like so like on the interim we're going to be doing this thing and on the interim we'll be transitioning here.
Winterim.
Well, no, Winterim is the right way to say it. You sounded great. I'm just saying that people listening are like,
yeah,
winter what?
You're not going to know what it is, but we'll explain
Yeah.
what. So basically in between after Christmas break and before the next quarter would start, they had 3 weeks that they found over the years that it was open, that they could do this little thing where all of the teachers would prepare you. There was 3 classes a day for 3 weeks.
This is so cool. You guys get excited.
It was like, amazing.
If you are at a charter school that has a little more flexibility with what they do, you need to send them this episode because this is the most brilliant thing. So the point of this is because kids are sick of it, right? You get through to Christmas break. Yeah. You've been Christmasing and sugaring and playing video games and doing whatever, and you've had all this free time, and then they're coming back to school. They don't want to be there. And also, I think our institutionalized learning in general, it has just become a disdainful thing for kids. Kids, they just look like this is somewhere I have to go. They look at it as something I have to go here and do this thing. And it's a have to, not a get to. And they don't have that love of learning. So Winterim is designed to bring a passion for learning, for any type of learning, like more fully into that child or student's view.
And for teachers
yeah.
too.
And so what was cool is, and sorry, I interrupted you, but you were saying that each teacher gets to plan a 3-week course on something they're passionate about.
So we had teachers that did yoga first period and then would teach The Hobbit the next period.
Yeah,
and
like
then
deep dive into The Hobbit for 3 weeks. So kids are, and it's only 3 classes though, right? They're longer classes.
3 classes a day, yeah.
Yeah, so they're chunks, they're kind of more like university or total like deep immersion classes. So the kids each get to pick 3 Winterim topics,
So,
right?
Yeah,
Tell the other ones. So foods around the world, like food and culture from around the world.
Yeah, our son really loved food and culture, which he took every year, which he learned. They full on they bought ingredients. They would make all these different meals.
There were fees for some of the courses.
Yeah,
the teacher had to work out the fee. But you guys, it ignited the teacher's passion too, because they got to set all of their stuff aside and do something that they're really passionate about.
Oh, our son still writes in Viking runes, is it called?
Yeah.
Like the Vikings had their own language.
Yeah,
and
Viking myths and legends was a class.
Yeah, he took that and
tell them
in
some
it.
other ones. I want to make sure people could nerd out and deep dive in math. Some of the math teachers still offered some deep math.
Yeah,
and that was fun.
There was science stuff. They built this whole trebuchet one year.
Oh, there were some sports featured. There were some like sports clinics and things like that. So
like straight basketball classes or soccer.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were so many different classes, but the kids would get, I think it was during Thanksgiving break, it would go live online, and the kids, you have to get in and sign up because there's only so many spots per class. So during the Thanksgiving break, the kids would go on and pick all their classes. But in saying that, Laura and I got to teach a class. I don't even know how it happened because I wasn't in the classroom. Like, we helped the teachers facilitate the character development classes. And he did
the large events and the bigger projects
throughout the
school wide. He wasn't in a classroom teacher. Yeah.
Yeah. But for some way, I don't know if they needed another class. They needed extra something.
And they were having trouble. We had a bunch of new kids come in and it was throwing off the culture.
That was the second or third, no, the third year.
But they specifically said, like, we wanted you guys to do a class on.
So we called it Life-Changing Principles.
Yeah.
And we taught it for 3 years, I think. So it was something that.
It was so fun, you guys.
It was amazing. We got to make the curriculum. We got to teach. And we got to teach it together. And a lot of the kids came from broken homes, living with maybe a single parent or an aunt or a grandma.
A lot of them were, not even with either biological parent.
So to have them be able to see our relationship, there was kids that, what would they say? Couple goals.
Yeah.
Or something like that. You guys are couple goals.
Mr. and Mrs. Dugovic, you guys are couple goals.
Yeah. So
couples goals.
It was.
That's so cute. Yeah.
It was really fun to teach that. And it was something we got to teach how to win friends and influence people.
Yeah.
Love languages. Kids, that was a big one.
Huge.
Personality, color code stuff.
Yeah. And
we had
parents
the one student that said something about, oh, I didn't know that my dad's a this and I'm a this.
Yes, yeah. With the color code, we taught just the really classic, the 4 color code, the red, blue, yellow, and white. And we had one girl in the class who was a like super, super talented dancer. She was like in a ballet conservatory, and was a lot of her stuff was homeschool. You know, she was, I mean, she like lived at her ballet stuff the minute she was done with school. And when we did the color code stuff and taught them, like a lot of the kids took stuff home to their parents and had their parents take the test, or they would just know what color code, what color personality their parents are just by reading and understanding them.
We put it in a Google Drive so that they can go home and
quiz their family. And so it was so cool. She came to us and she was like very teary and just so happy. And she said, all these years I thought that my dad like just didn't love me, like that I was letting him down, or that we just weren't connecting, and that he didn't care about me basically. And she realized that no, he's just a red personality and she's a blue. So everything for blue personalities are about we lead with emotion. I mean, I shouldn't say I'm not a blue, but blues lead with emotion. They are, very emotionally driven. That's like the operating system they operate from.
Sensitive.
They're sensitive. Yeah. And white.
Red is not that way.
Red is like leadership, logic, like this is how we do things, and that's how her dad is. And so she realized, and so we kind of helped her bridge that gap. Like, yeah, love to a red is expecting the best from your kids, because by expecting the best from your kids, you're protecting them. In the red's mind, they're protecting their child from future failure, from not having their life, feel and be good by those definitions, right?
We would do a whole day. I remember this every year. We would do a day of loving what is, if you know what that is, Byron Katie's book. It was a heavy day, and we didn't realize it until after the first time we did it, how heavy it was for kids. And we would always say, you can write this down, you can keep it, or you can, we had the shredder there, because some of the things you write, are heavy. We
would have them do what's called the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet from Loving What Is. Yeah.
But every single year, every kid shredded the paper.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't one kid that actually kept the paper.
Yeah.
And
they worked some stuff out on that paper.
Yeah. It was a heavy day, but it was a day of really processing emotions, and those kids
that's
in 3 weeks.
Next, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And that's a podcast I want to do really soon, is a full podcast on Loving What Is. You guys, I learned about Loving What Is, I would say 13 years ago, and it is some of the most priceless information I've ever gotten in my life.
Yeah, well, for sure.
Like, without question. I always tell people, if I had to pay like $100,000 to be able to retain that information, if it was like, write this check for $100
billion.
No, really, if I had it, I don't have $1 billion.
Oh.
I don't even have 100,000,
right.
But I do use that big number to show how valuable it is. It literally changed my life. Like, I operate completely differently because of what is in that book.
If you're interested,
yeah,
get the audiobook.
Yes.
Because you can, is that where she talks on stage in the audiobook?
She does live sessions, and it's just, it's the actual live thing. And then the book is transcripts from those live interactions.
Yeah.
And so, but I would like to do one breaking it down and talking about it in different ways that are quick. I feel like we could totally fit it into a 1-hour podcast that people would really get a lot of benefit from. Totally. That's really on my heart to share. But your kids, the other thing I want to say is, don't underestimate your 12-year-old, your 15-year-old, your 17-year-old. Kids are starving for emotional intelligence based content. They want to know how to navigate the world around them. They want to know how to navigate relationships, but
they have so many emotions going on too.
Yeah.
That they don't understand, and that no one's taught them.
Well, I don't know what you're doing.
What is happening?
I don't know. Something crazy.
Are we good?
Yes.
So.
Sorry, his shirt was just like chaotic. You guys are going to want to hit Spotify or YouTube to watch this if you're on the audio shirt. Only.
So, but there's so many things that they're dealing with, and emotions, and not knowing. We're in our 40s, and we're still figuring out our emotions. And
it's funny too, because our niece lived with us for a time during her high school life, and we taught her Loving What Is. And I love it. Her sisters are like, Oh, I always go to her for advice because she got it. She's so smart and amazing. And then she's been able to teach those principles, and they have this amazing relationship with their sisters. And they're like, oh my gosh, she's like our guru. We just love her so much. And it's like that, and it can be a little bit abstract. That's why I love to share, the Byron Katie principles through like my lens so that it can be a little more relatable. Some of her stuff is hard to take to, and we didn't do the really deep stuff with the kids. We kept it more surface, but
there's a paper you can print out. It's called The Work.
Judge Your Neighbor worksheet.
Yeah. And so you go through it and fill it out,
and it's online and it's free too, but it's really fun. And then she can help you kind of turn those things around. But
she's very blunt and direct, I think is what Laura was getting to, where it could feel some of her things are just like,
she can come off condescending too, because she'll go, oh, sweetie, da 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 da, like, oh, sweetie, oh, sweetheart. And she's not being condescending. She's absolutely not. She truly is one of those people that she is such a clear receptacle. There's not ego in the way that this woman operates. And so when she's saying that, she's witnessing a person who's caught in a dream and in a nightmare. Actually, they're being terrorized by their thoughts, and she's showing up with total empathy. But it sounds like I've had people listen to it and go, she's kind of condescending. Like, that's weird. I'm like, she's totally not. That is not what she's doing.
I just think she's transcended these feelings and emotions that a lot of us get caught up in. Like, we get caught up in something happens to us, and we have this thought which creates this emotion, which creates this feeling in our body, and it just takes over. Where if you can stop it right when it comes in, that first thought of like, no.
Yeah.
And
if you can find the lie or the part where you're making up, you're deciding something that's very painful for you to decide, or that's hurtful.
Yeah.
It's so good, you guys. She's so powerful.
It's very interesting.
But it was so fun with the kids to go through that process and just see their eyes open to the fact that, and a lot of it's funny too. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, I've been hurting my own feelings. Or you see how you perpetuate a situation. Like these girls would be having, oh my gosh, I was having this falling out with my friend, and it was like I was just blaming her. And now I realize, oh, I had a fair amount of part in that, or I created this or that with it. I can see my part. It's very profound.
Yeah.
So what else did we teach? I'm trying to think of.
One of my favorite days, and I don't know why, but we had this folder of quotes. And
Quotant quotables.
Yes. And so we just on the projector, we're
going to do that here too.
Go through quotes and talk to the kids and ask them what they think that means, and just really go through just these famous quotes and quotes that are deep and really make you think. And that was one of my favorite days. It was
love that, yeah.
The whole class period of just going over these quotes, and everybody would put in their 2 cents.
Yeah.
We would teach.
No, and I loved. I have one.
Okay.
Sorry. Will you remember yours? Did you have it already, or were you pulling it to memory?
Go ahead.
Okay. One of my favorite ones that Kyle did was a class where the theme is why not you. Ooh, that was so good. And what he was teaching them is why. We as parents too, we make the mistake of dampening our children's dreams because they don't seem practical, right? We all were those kids too. I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to be a pro baseball player. I'm going to be a marine biologist. Now that's reasonably within everyone's reach, but somehow none of us are marine biologists, and I don't know why that is.
All of us wanted to be marine biologists in the 80s and 90s.
I really did. I wanted to work at SeaWorld. Little did I know, those jerks.
Swim with the dolphins.
Those
the manatees and the turtles.
But back when we were young and innocent in the 80s and 90s, we all wanted to be marine biologists. But somehow here we are not being marine biologists. So
I don't think any of my friends are marine biologists.
It's devastating.
Not one.
It's a travesty.
What happened?
So, but and we even caught ourselves doing this as parents too. And I have 2 stories about this. These are actually so good. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to tell you guys this story. This is great content, everyone.
I have no idea what she's going to say.
He's scared. I'm excited. So our son, Cortland, was like a little bit of an Akko Taco, like really outgoing, gregarious, bubbly.
Very ADHD.
Yes. And he will admit that, like, we're not oversharing. He's an adult. We have his permission to share about him a little bit. And but yeah, so a lot of, like, some impulse control problems. So he'll talk over people. I wonder where he gets that from. I don't know. Couldn't it be his mom? I don't know. Anyway, I'm working on it too. I'm doing my best. But he had friends in school, but I think he was kind of a lot, and but he was super friendly. He was a kind kid, nice to everyone, would say hi to everyone, would include everyone. And when they were running for student body officers, he was like, I'm gonna run. And there were all these steps. This school was really rigorous because they want to make it hard for the kids to get registered to run, so that they're a responsible kid who's getting the job, right? Because they actually want their student government to do stuff. Like, they actually have a lot of responsibilities. So he's like, I want to be, do you remember what he wanted to be? It was a student body officer, because I think it was general for 8th grade or something.
Yeah, it was just, they just had 2 officers for the whole grade.
They just have 2 officers for all of 8th grade running into 9th grade. Okay. And so he said, I want to run. And I was overwhelmed with all of my stuff at work. He was super busy with all of his stuff. And we're like, bud. And he usually was barely keeping grades where they needed to be too. So we're like, okay, if your grades are up and you, like, whatever. But we basically said to him, I was like, I don't, like, bud, you're kind of putting yourself out there to be rejected, because there are a lot of kids that are more popular and cool, and it'll probably just be a popularity contest. And I'm obviously super cynical. And so I just said that to him, and it was so funny. I said, and I just don't want you putting yourself out there, like, to be kind of rejected or made fun of, right? Like, people can get mean with politics too. I mean, and people listening, you either ran for something and were bullied and it was mean or hard, or you have a kid who's done it and you get it. But he said to me, well, Mom, anybody who would make fun of me for running for student office, like, I don't care what those people think anyway. And I was like, I feel like an idiot. Like, and these are one of those moments where your kids teach you as a parent. And I was just like, and I literally said to him, I was like, you are totally right, bud. I'm so sorry. You're right. Like, what better gift could I hope for my child to have? What better ability or capacity could I hope for my own child than the ability to not care about what other people think? Could there be? And what has held you back? What has held me back, and us collectively? Listener, think in on how many times you maybe didn't do something to avoid the hurt of rejection. And for what? If somebody's not for you, why do you care what they think? And I had an 8th grader teach me that. So then later, flash forward, I have a point, I promise. The point is, flash forward to a few years ago, he said to us, I'm going to be a singer. I want to be a singer for my occupation. I want to write music. I want to cut albums. I want to be a singer. And we both were like, yeah, like, but that's not a very reasonable goal. And he was like, I don't care about school because I'm going to be a singer. And we were like,
I don't want to go to college. I don't want to
go to college, and I don't have to care about high school because I'm not going to be an academic. I don't care. And we were like, well, you should care because you're not going to be a singer. That's just like being a pro football player or baseball player or whatever. It's like this tiny percentage gets those jobs. And not like he wanted to be any of those, but a singer is just as slim, or probably worse, actually. I don't think there are like hundreds of famous singers, and there are hundreds of NFL players and hundreds of baseball players. But anyway, so we again made the cardinal error of saying, well, bud, and he should be doing his best. He should be getting good grades and learning for the sake of learning. There's all of that there too. But we really were saying, but you should also get a more reasonable career. And he said, no, I'm going to be a famous singer. I'm going to do it. And we're like, whatever. And then what happened, Dugovic?
I don't know. Where are you going?
He went viral on TikTok.
Oh,
and got like 180,000 followers and 7 million views.
And accidentally went viral
singing. He went viral singing.
In a bathroom.
Yep. It's so funny. Singing a sea shanty and marching out of a bathroom stall. And it went super viral. And then other people, though, were actually interested in his singing. And he does have a beautiful bass voice. He has a really deep, unique, resonant voice. He wants to sing country music. But it was funny because then after that happened, Kyle and I had a great discussion where we're like, we're done telling our kids that they can't achieve what they want to achieve. Like, we're done. If he wants to be a singer, we're going to be his biggest cheerleaders on the planet, all in, 100% believing he's going to do it on whatever level he does it on, until further notice. And then if something changes and it doesn't work, then that's okay too. But at least I never again want to be a critic in his corner, ever.
Yeah.
And we do it to protect our kids. We think we're protecting them, but we're not. And so Kyle did this incredible class. Back to that, he did this incredible class where he told the kids, why not you? why can't you do something that you love? Why can't you, you know, who says that it's not going to work out for you? You might as well try and do something you're lit up about. I love that Jim Carrey, you know, like you can fail at doing something you don't even like. So you might as well go for your dreams because you can fail at doing something you didn't even want to do anyway, or get fired or lose your job, you know?
Yeah.
So that was a good one.
That was a good one. It was just some great weeks that the life-changing principles. It was great. The whole Winterim was a great thing at that school. One thing that over the years that we noticed is every year the teachers would get more and more into it, and we would share it at staff meetings, experiences, and it was something that at a staff meeting maybe it got more bold over the years. I don't know, but
I think you had more rapport too. You had a lot of rapport with the teachers as the years went on.
And I don't know if it was my last year there, possibly, but I just remember saying at a staff meeting, like sharing experiences that we hear through the grapevine of what happened in their character development class and lessons that they had and teachers. And so I got up and shared, and it was something that I got emotional, and which I don't get emotional a lot, but it was something that I asked the teachers, what do you remember from high school? Do you remember a math class? Do you remember an English class? Do you remember a science class? Like, just it was such a good class, and I said, guess what you're teaching, because what character development was throughout the whole school. It wasn't just that fourth period class is what we kept teaching every year, and by the fourth year it was something that the teachers were teaching in their lessons. So they're teaching a math lesson, they're teaching an English lesson or a science lesson, and they would teach these leadership lessons and character development and the importance of character in their lessons. It would just come out. And because the kids were learning it too, it was just part of the school. And so it's something that in the staff meeting, I said, it's the most important class you're going to teach every day is the fourth period class, because what you're teaching in there is things that they are going to take into their lives, and it can change their lives, because these kids are going to go on, and what they learn in math, and it's great skills, maybe things that they learn, but these are life-changing principles. And then every year at the beginning of the year, we would have more teachers come on, and the teachers that we did have, it was slowly buying in, and it was just this snowball. By the last year that we were there, that the teachers were excited about the coming year and character development, what it was, and we would have speed. Forget what we called it. I don't know if you ever came to those, but speed teaching, where we'd line up all the teachers, and it was like how to win friends and influence people back and forth, and sort of like speed dating, where one row sits and the other row rotates, and you go through and ask all these questions and you learn about all the teachers. And by the end of it, everyone is just like screaming and like having a great time and laughing. And they got to know all the teachers. Like, you went through everyone, and it was, then we would switch and everybody would get to know everybody, but it was part of character development and teaching. And we taught it throughout the school and to the staff. And it was amazing. I wish every school, I always say every school should have this. I want one day to have all of the lessons and everything, and I just want to give it away for free to all schools if they will take it.
I know, like we can write our own curriculum, and if they'll do it, like we can help lay it out. But I know it's so incredible. And yeah, so if you love these ideas, if you would love to see this happening in your school, be the change. Like, that school doesn't even exist anymore. So yeah, please don't write us going, oh, we're in Las Vegas, my family needs, that school is gone. So
yeah, it's a different school.
It's a different school, and they changed everything about it. So don't, like, we don't have a reference for you. Sorry. But But you could take something like this to your own schools. You could help as a parent volunteer. You could forward this podcast to an administrator who is like passionate about bringing the best and brightest, programs to the school, and start building what that looks like for them. It is so worthwhile. But even if that's like a really tall order to get this going on in another school, you as parents can do it yourselves. Teach these principles at home. Have these conversations around the dinner table. Have these conversations at bedtime. I love it. We have a family tradition where we all snuggle in bed. I take a hot bath every night, like over an hour long Epsom salt soak. My health has been incredible. Thank you to that. I've done that for years, and I feel like my health has really improved. And I will scroll funny TikToks or reels and just find wholesome, good, funny reels, and we'll watch them all as a family. So we all pile into our bed, and we do a family devotional where we read an uplifting thought, and we have a family prayer together, and then we will watch funny videos together that are uplifting and good, but funny. And it is our favorite thing. But then along with that, our kids just craved it and loved to all, watch the funny videos. But then we've had some of the best discussions. You can teach your kids how to handshake from home. You can have these deep discussions with your kids in your home. You can get a personality code book and all take this quiz and then talk and laugh and break it down together. Your kids will feel so seen. And so many parents now, one of my favorite ones, it's like a little more woo. It's funny. It's called Life Colors by Pamela Osley. It has 14 colors.
It's too many.
It's not. It's more accurate. It's so accurate. And you can take the quiz online, but then have the book for the ready-made, and it's Pamela Oslie, Pamela Osley. I love that book. It's brilliant. But you guys get that book, have your family take the quiz, and then laugh and talk about it. It's so validating too. Your kids are going to be like, I feel so seen. Now you get it.
Anytime we ever do it at friends or family, and everybody just loves doing it and taking the quiz. And I think as you continue to follow us, and it's something maybe we'll put on. So our website is, becausetheworldneeds.com. It's Because the World Needs Another Podcast. That's our podcast, but the website's just becausetheworldneeds.com. And maybe we'll start putting on there different books and different things you can print off that are available, but all in one place. And
so we love that. We love Life Colors. But there's so much that you can do in your own homes, and we're homeschooling our son this past year, and that became even more and more powerful and prevalent in my mind.
Yeah, it's been a game changer for him. For us, really, just
the power we have as parents to influence our kids.
Not everybody can homeschool, and we understand that.
Yeah, we're definitely not saying homeschool, but we're saying you have hours with your kids every day and
minutes. Like they did a study on.
Oh, I know.
It's crazy.
Well, yeah, if your kids are in sports and a lot of other things, we keep that to a minimum too. Well, not on purpose, but our kids are like, no, thank you. Yeah. They have their own hobbies and whatever, but
we have a short time with our kids, and in that time that we have with them, take advantage of teaching, because they're going to go out in the world, and what they don't learn from you, they're going to learn somewhere else,
right?
Whether good or bad.
Yeah, and it hurts us to not have all the information we need too. Just as much as like the wrong information can be harmful to our kids, not enough of the right information can be harmful too. So like he said, these are the subjects that will move the needle the most in your child's life. And we're going to do a lot of manners podcasts that we thought it'd be great for us to just break it down and teach them. And then you can also send it to, especially if you have teens, you can just send it to your teenager and be like, listen to this. I want to discuss it with you. And then, look at this beast. Ooh.
We're going to be going through this.
Emily posts etiquette.
Page by page.
Page by page.
Look, we're going to be.
Emily posts etiquette. It's like this gigantic, for those who are listening, it's a gigantic blue book.
Oh, yes.
And it is no joke. It has tabs, you guys. Look at the tabs.
That's legit.
It is no joke. Yeah, we do not have enough manners and enough of the right manners anymore in our society. So Kyle and I hope to change that.
Etiquette, social graces, I think is something that, and how to communicate, how to write a letter, not text. Like texting has got, there's so many, like we said, little things that you think might be little, but they could be huge. Yeah. But also, like what you were saying is, not the bad things and the good things. It's really also, there's only a couple ways to learn, is when when we first got married, it was something that we didn't learn about credit or debt or
Right.
things like that. And so that's one way we learned, is by
Making mistakes.
Like if we would have
Yes.
had those classes in school, and why I say that we taught what we didn't learn in school, if we would have had those classes about
Yeah.
credit and credit cards and checking accounts, and
we did that. Like, it was so funny. We financed a couch.
like we thought, a couch, you're going to give us this couch and we can just pay monthly?
Well, and he had a sales job at the time, which had great commission. So we're like, oh, this is one sale.
Yeah, we always
Don't
put
worry,
it
it was Yellow Page sales. Remember Yellow Pages, you guys, would like that
let
huge
the fingers
book?
do the walking.
And remember, like, you would open this huge thick book to find the address of a business. Well, he would sell the pages to the businesses, and a one full page ad, he would make like $2,500. Like, a full page ad was 10 grand, and he made a quarter of
So
the.
we'd always say, oh, one
That's
sale,
just one sale.
and it would just pay this back.
And he lost that job. Like.
So yeah, it was also seasonal in different books, and
Right. No, but like, you switched companies, but like, he got let go from that job. We were newlyweds, and we were like, oh yeah, but like just one sale and just one sale. So we put these things on credit, and they were like, and now we can't pay this. Cool.
but also what interest is and how interest works. And so it's not as cut and dry as the advertising makes it seem. So
Right. And so so having those conversations is so powerful.
yeah, so many things that we'll get into and talk about that we love, and
oh, and then we'll finish with the trailer, right? Sorry, finish your
on what?
We didn't tell them what happened to the travel trailer.
Oh wow, it's
So
set at my parents' house for
I feel it did for a long time.
years.
I feel like my back went out on Kyle's behalf because he was freaking out internally. Let's be real. He is such an amazing man, and he was just going to try to muscle through it. But I've noticed pretty quickly as we were trying to make the plans, he's like, well, what if we just stay around here? Or what if we just
Really?
Oh yeah.
I remember that.
Because he does not like to travel.
I don't like camping. I don't like
He doesn't like any of the things that we just signed on to do. Like, nothing about any of that is something that is of interest to him. And so we laugh because it was like, so yeah, and he fell in love with the job of character development director. And then I loved cheer coaching. So we were really happy in Las Vegas for a time.
Yeah, we wanted to be there 9 months, and then we were quickly, it was like, wow, this is something we can really help a lot of kids. And
we felt very inspired by the positions. We really loved it. Yeah. And so we were good to stay. We bought a house in Las Vegas. We renovated it, all of that stuff. It was crazy.
Again, with the renovations.
We
finally did pay somebody to come paint.
Yeah, we did. Yep.
But
finally didn't do that on our own. But yeah, so it was funny because when we were finally buying a house in Las Vegas, the real estate agent, my agent, was looking for a travel trailer because she had a property. Well, and I wish she would have told me her plan, because I might have I bet we didn't need to deal with it. Like, he's like, no, get rid of it. So anyway, what I'm saying is when my back went out and we made this change of plans, that was the best thing that could have happened to Kyle. Not my back going out, but the change of plans. Because, and by the way, my back healed really quickly. I was fine within months. Then my leg went bad. My leg went bad for a really long while, 18 months. So I've had a lot of funny stuff. But our real estate agent bought my travel trailer. I call it mine because I designed it. It was my baby. You guys, we should put pictures up of it too. It was really cute. And cool and organized and fun.
Had a bunk room in the back for the kids.
It was so good. We'll put pictures up. Like, that would be really fun. I can share like my old Facebook post or something. But she purchased it and paid to park it permanently at a campsite at like the mouth of Zion's Canyon or whatever. So she's genius. I mean, like, she's obviously like, real estate investing stuff. So she rented out
she Airbnb'd it.
She Airbnb'd it, and it's kind of just above St. George, Utah, so it doesn't get too cold. So, and I think she only rented it for the winters the summers anyway. Like, so when all the people flood in to the national parks during the summer, she would make a great rental on it. And then she would also go stay at it all the time. I would see her social media. She's like, I'm at my little getaway this weekend. And it was so cute and fun. But so she purchased it from us, which was great.
We kept the truck for a
while. And then we were like, we don't need a diesel,
to drive 3 miles
Although
to work.
You kind of loved that truck.
I did. I really, we actually did a whole CNG natural gas conversion on it.
That's right.
And so it would run on diesel and natural gas. And
I forgot that.
It would go a lot longer. And we had a huge tank in in the truck bed. And
Yeah. But so we sold all of that, and then we sold our house in Las Vegas and moved back to Arizona after 4 years in Las Vegas. And that was, as you caught if you caught the first 2 episodes, 4 months after landing here, that's when all the wheels fell off. So
yeah, that's part 1 and 2 of our podcast of what happened in the end of 2019, beginning of 2020.
Yep. But yeah, so sorry to wrap that up with a nice little bow. We sold the travel trailer to an amazing new owner. It now hosts campers going to the Utah National Parks. So that's great. And we are happily living trailer free in Arizona. We love it.
No camping.
No camping for us. We're good. I do enjoy the idea of camping, don't I, babe?
She does. She loves to talk about it
and
want to go camping, and then
I really enjoy the idea of it. And I actually, when I go, I suffer, but I still enjoy that. I'm still always happy that I go. So, but yes, our website is becausetheworldneeds.com.
There's a free membership. Go and sign up for the free membership.
Yeah.
And we're going to be rolling out a couple other memberships and communities that are going to be really cool.
We're really excited about some things that are coming up.
Yes.
But for right now, there is a free community. We have all of our adrenal protocols to help if you feel like you might be in an adrenal imbalance, like you're having a hard time sleeping, you feel really sluggish in the mornings,
palpitations,
any heart palpitations, hormonal stuff. We have some really cool protocols and everything for free on there to start for you to kind of maybe start pinpointing.
And meditations.
And then, a full 7-day gratitude meditation, plus a few other ones for just kind of observing your thoughts and getting out of anxiety cycles. One, it's called Getting Out of the Machine, is a really good one. If you're struggling with anxious thoughts that are feeling like they're kind of picking up steam on you a little bit, that's for free on there.
Nobody has anxiety nowadays.
What?
Right?
Everyone's so fine. We're all great. We're great.
It's true.
So join us over there at becausetheworldneeds.com. We love hearing from you. And please send it if you have educators in your life, teachers, parents, share this with a friend who you think could love the idea of Winterim, and just kind of giving everyone that shot in the arm to love education again, to love learning of all sorts, right? And that's what the theory was. It's just if they can love learning those 3 weeks, they come back to the learning table with the classic reading, writing, arithmetic, and they're a lot more passionate and balanced.
And the teachers too. Like it was something that energized them and the kids, and it was a great time every year, and the kids got so excited every year for it.
Yeah, it was literally like Super Bowl of academics. It was like, yes.
And the new kids would be like, what is Winterim? What is going on?
Yeah, and like what the frenzy? Because kids who have transferred into the school, they're like, who's excited about learning? This is stupid. But they don't little did they know that they might be learning The Hobbit while eating crepes. While just kidding. So good.
Yeah, it's like college.
Oh, and art classes. They had some art classes. Oh, theater classes and improv. They had an improv class. I mean, it is like the learning Olympics. It's really fun.
There were so many cool classes, and classes that were so popular that they would fill up so fast. And teachers would sometimes do 3 classes. It was the same thing. So
so that multiple sections of kids could get the chance. It was so neat. So share that with an educator you love, share it with some administrators, or, just incorporate things like that into your own home life and family.
The biggest thing is really, we can't control what schools do and what they teach, but we can control in our own homes, what we teach, what we have, what kind of books we read, the things that we watch, the things that kids watch. And so they're going to be in our home for a short amount of time. And then when they leave, it happens quick. I'll tell you that.
That's true. We already have a 20-year-old launched, and it's crazy.
Yes.
So, yep. So that's our message today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Indubitably.
Indubitably?
I was going to say indeed and then indubitably.
Whoa, that really went off the rails. Which one are you going to go with, Doug? If you have another shot.
8.
Bye, you guys. 8. Write 8 in the comments if you made it to the end.
And please, yes, write the number 8 in the comments. We had one person do it last time.
We did. We're proud of her. She gets a she's in town.
Indubitably.
I'm going to give her a treat.
There we go. If you have any questions, please comment. That's something that
we'd love to answer.
Actually love.
We're tiny, small potatoes. We have plenty of time. We have nothing but time to answer your comments.
It was something that we launched our first podcast, and we didn't even look at it because we
didn't advertise it. We just published it, and we didn't tell anybody that it was published.
Yeah, and so then the next day I went on and I was like, babe, we have some comments. Look at this.
Who's this?
Yeah. So please comment,
You
share.
made our day. Whoever, like those of you who commented, you made our day. We were tickled to death.
Seriously.
We loved it.
It was great. And we're excited to keep doing more of these and getting to, we want to get to know you guys too. And that's why that's commenting, the community that we're starting at the Because the World Needs is something that we're going to start doing lives there and different things. So
okay,
it'll be fun.
8.
All right. See you later.
8.